So yes, I was at Humble Bundle for 4 years, worked on a lot of their mobile bundles, worked on most of the PC and Android bundles. Most of those ones were the very first time those games came to Android, so really working that side from the PC to mobile. Going to Congregate, we did a lot. We do cross-platform publishing. Most of it's known for the browser games, for the mobile games. We've just taken 2 of the mobile ones to Steam, so a little bit of both. All right, there we go. So the biggest question that everybody's going to kind of wonder is, why do we want to do this? This talk really is for developers who either have a game already, you've launched it, and you're thinking about going to another platform, or you're going to launch a game, you're really going to focus on the one first and then consider the second one later. You have really primary reasons, and these all boil down to the main one of your revenue. You want to keep making games. So the primary ones, you want to please your current user base. A lot of people will buy the games multiple times if they're on multiple platforms. They really love your games, and they're already engaged. The second one being your potential players. There's completely different player opportunities on every platform. Mobile, there's worldwide users that might not have access to something like Steam. Payment options that aren't available. You have to consider things like carrier billing. All of these things are going to come into play. And then just the game lifespan in general. You really want to get your game in front of as many people as possible, and you'll see on some later slides that this really does help with that. Couple bonus things. You really want to get some platform experience. A lot of people who have done PC first don't really understand mobile. You get an entire new experience working with the UI, working with a touch screen. And then the very last one is preserving legacy titles, which is super near and dear to me. You really want some of those old games that you played as a kid. I was just playing Chips Challenge on Steam yesterday. Love that game, and it's probably as old as I am, which I'm not going to tell you how much that is. All right, there's going to be a bunch of cat GIFs. Hope you enjoy that. So when considering and evaluating, before you decide to go cross-platform, please sit down and think about why you're doing this. It's just kind of the biggest question. You really consider that even when you're just making the first game possible. If you don't know why you're making it, you don't know when the goalposts will move, where they're starting. So figure out the opportunity. Do you want this just for revenue? Do you want this just to get to more users? Do you want just the prestige of releasing it? Do you want the experience? Any of these can be good reasons. There's the opportunity to self-port versus paid porting. This will actually just shorten up the amount of time you're going to have to work on this. And then really the effort needed is where you're getting into self-porting versus paid porting. Paid porting, it might sound like it's easy, but it's only going to reduce the engineering time. This type of thing takes your entire team. You're going to have your engineering to make the port. You're going to have your QA to test the port. You have your BD team or yourself to take it to different platforms and talk to those platform holders, to do the updates, do all the notifications, marketing. And we're not even going to get into like mobile marketing today because that's probably an entire line of talks here at this conference. And then the last thing, please consider your team enthusiasm. Ask everybody if they want to work on this. You've been staring at the same game probably for 3 years. Do you still want to stare at it for another year? You're going to have to dig into the code. You're going to have to change things. Is it going to offend somebody to change it from one payment method to another? All right, these are just a couple red flags that might come up. You just have to remember, premium PC to premium mobile. Premium mobile is fairly limited right now in the industry. I'll go into that into the next slide. And then the same thing of if you do this, the audience is going to expect a lower cost. A lot of games historically have been, say, 10 on Steam, 2 on mobile. And with absolutely zero change in gameplay experience, I can't say I condone that, but that's just what the industry is right now, and you have to understand that's where it is. Limitations on mobile to PC. Steam users are a little finicky. They will call it out in reviews, but that's going to happen. All right, so there's going to be a couple slides on each of these of kind of the price points for each. This one is mobile, premium to freemium. There is a reason why there's that he's just not that into you cover up there. So first off, here's the basics of the install rates for premium and freemium on mobile. You go premium on mobile if you get a platform feature. Platform feature means giant banner at the top of Google Play, editor's choice, something like that. A rough estimate is week 1 average, you're going to get less than 10,000 installs. So say you're doing that $2 game, $3 game, 10,000 installs, however much to the platform, that's how much you end up with. So if you're doing this for the revenue, you better make sure that the port costs less to make than that amount, plus some lifetime, but really, we all know the long tail, you're going to do most of your sales up front. Freemium, you get that same feature and you're free to play, you're going to get at least 750,000 downloads on average. And it's just a fact of the marketplace. There are outliers, and people always pitch me games like this. It's the next Super Mario Run, it's the next Pokemon Go. Those are outliers. There's a quote from He's Just Not That Into You. You are the rule, you are not the exception. So please take it like that. There's gonna be 1 or 2 of those a year. You might be those 1 or 2, and you can definitely hope and try for it, but if you plan on that to continue your business, you're gonna have a bad time. The second thing is that freemium mechanics are really difficult to implement post creating a game. You can do ad implementations, but I'll go through some things on session length. You can really break a game by trying to make it freemium. But if you want to do premium and you expect it to do how it's going to do, you might actually be pretty pleased with it. And there are, cases that will work. All right, here's that Super Mario Run. It has a very certain way of pricing, and people are starting to approach me and ask, can I take my premium game to mobile this way? And I actually really liked this method. I played a lot of shareware games as a child, downloaded way too much FTP. So with that, Super Mario Run is the exception. You actually get some fairly weird comments, but like I said, sometimes it works. So this is a comment from a puzzler that's on Steam, or not on Steam, on Google Play. It actually did very well. It had over 1 million downloads. It was a puzzle game with the 32 levels up front, $1 for each pack, or just $5 for everything. The part of it is, I love this game. I whipped through the free stuff and wanted to play more, but I'm not willing to pay to play. Wish they would figure out a way for us to earn more levels or put in some quick ads to help with funding. That quote just infuriated me. Every single time I saw it, I saved it a while back, and now I have a place to finally put it. So it's possible to do it, but since that game had that many downloads, I don't know what their conversion rate was. I hope it was enough. But it did have a 4.4 rating. So despite having a 2-star occasionally, people are always going to complain. You can't always listen to that. You have to actually just look at the numbers and judge it that way. The last thing is the retooling for freemium, which, like I said, very, very difficult to do. All right, a couple more considerations on PC to mobile. You're going to want to remember, so a lot of these things are listed in here. I'm going to go over them very quickly. These slides will be posted later, so really feel free to download them and just, if you're considering this, click through it and use it like a checklist. These are things that you're going to want to remember and maybe you just kind of forgot at some point in time. So the install size. A lot of the world still doesn't have good cell phone signal, so you're really going to want to keep that under 100. Look up some articles on it. There's a lot of ways of like iOS bundling, ways to get that install size down, to download kind of some assets later. Just you'll have to figure it out. People have multiple devices, so something that you could have just saved in one spot, just locally. I've dropped my phone in puddles too many times to remember. I got a new waterproof one. It won't happen again, but when I do, I want my games to continue. If I know that I'm not going to get that save back, I'm not going to re-download it. Social sharing, much more popular on mobile, put it in. The screen sizes and the graphic is from OpenSignal, does this every year. They have this one on Android fragmentation, and they also have one on screen sizes. The screen size one is terrifying, so I did not put it on here. But yes, it's going to be an issue. You're going to want to try it out on some devices. You're going to want to get as many friends as you can to try it out and see, okay, are things getting cut off? Are buttons getting cut off? Analytics, you might need to take a couple, find some articles, learn some more, start learning about, these are the kind of, the basic one is retention. You're going to want to watch that. Later on, another slide will go into 40-20-10, industry standard of this is a pretty decent thing, and that's day 1, day 7, day 30. Other things, my favorite acronym is FATUI. It's your first time user experience, your tutorial. It's really good to put that analytics in because especially when porting, you want to see that people are getting into the game and playing. If you can't get through that first section, then the game's never going to take off. Marketing, again, I'm not going to get into that, but then crash tracking. There's a lot of free solutions for crash tracking. You just want to put something in and just see if things are breaking because when you're porting, there's going to be bugs. Here's a nice little case study. World of Goo is by 2D Boy. That is Ron Carmel and Kyle Gabler. They originally came out in 2008, and it was Windows and WiiWare, and it's just everywhere. I think every single one of those platforms has been pretty successful, minus the 2013 BlackBerry port. That one was very short-lived. But they have, they're coming to the Nintendo Switch. The games work well on all sorts of platforms. You also have to consider that this type of game with the controls work very well across platform. Oh, one last point. The pricing on this, it was $9.99 on Steam, $4.99 on mobile. So again, price difference. All right. So going mobile to PC, premium versus freemium. This is, I would say, an angry internet user. So really when figuring this out, if you're already premium on mobile, you have a leg up. Like going premium to premium, you're pretty set. People expect to pay on PC, so that's nice. But you have to consider, the pricing. You can either so mobile to PC, you can scale up, scale down. Staying free to play. There is a free to play category on Steam. So it does get some notice. You have to start figuring out how to do it. Sales right now, this is something I could go into forever, but right now having to tool things, how you can put things on sale on Steam, there's a very big differentiation between in-app purchases and DLC. It's a very technical limitation, so they may be changing that in the next year. And with the discoverability updates, the Discoverability Update 2.0 just came out this year, so this is ever changing. Mobile to PC, again, if you have a free-to-play mobile, you can premiumify your game. This has actually happened quite a bit with games that a developer wanted to make a free-to-play mobile game, but they were used to making premium games. So they made a premium game, and then they somehow made it free. So this is just kind of taking that extra layer out. If there was energy, taking that out. If there was IAP, get rid of that too. But then you might need to rebalance because if you just give everybody everything, then it's going to be a very short play session, very short game, and just won't be as fun. This is a bodega cat. That one represents our storefronts. Mobile to PC, once you actually get a port going, you have to figure out where you're going to take it. I mean, Steam is the obvious choice, but you have a lot of options. You can take to itch.io, GOG, Gamergate if they're still around. There's quite a few storefronts. You also probably want to do your own website. You can use, the Humble storefront, Humble widgets. There's just so many options. You want to get that game out as far as possible. Other things, just really quickly, these are the considerations of, if you had event systems on your mobile game, there is no real push notification system in Steam. There's a couple workarounds. If you manually get somebody to add your game to their watch list, you can actually do a sort of pop-up notification. Other things, you want to remember that your DAU is going to be lower on Steam. Even the most popular, say, mobile idlers will get at most like 1,000 concurrents, but most of the mobile to PC ones that are free to play, I've noticed, have around a 200 concurrent, maybe a couple thousand DAU. Other things, like I mentioned before, the reviews. It's going to be a wide variety. Take them with a grain of salt, but also watch for bugs. And then Steam and other platforms, you have the opportunity to make a special edition and soundtrack. People value soundtracks much more on PC than on mobile, so you have the opportunity to kind of bundle that together with the game and make a special edition. All right, here is the case study for for a mobile to PC. So the first thing is Hitman Go came out in April 2014. It was specially made for mobile. So it was iOS and Android. It later came to Windows. Following that success, they decided to take a different IP, fit in kind of some new game mechanics, and make Lara Croft Go. So that one was released iOS, Android, Windows Phone, and also Windows. Once that was also a success, they decided to take it to Steam. So it was in 2016, again, price difference. Mobile was actually kind of a, I think the term is paidmium. So it was $1.99 with an in-app purchase for hints and tips. So Steam, they took out all the IAP, they kind of retooled a lot of the menus, and it was a $9.99 purchase. Read that quote while I'm talking. I don't have time to read it, but everybody loved the port. It was beautiful. The menus were very minimalistic, so it was actually very hard to tell that it was originally mobile. But despite all that, they could have hidden it. They actually embraced it. Within the description on Steam, they actually touted a quote from a news organization saying, "This is the best port we've seen in ages. It was a good PC port, a good console port." They put on the awards that they had won for the mobile version. They put that on the page. They really embraced it. Nobody could say, "Oh, they're just trying to sneak this on." It was a really great success. Okay, we're going to get into the session links real quick. This one also, please read them. It just kind of goes over the average time that people spend in apps. These were from a couple surveys from Verdo in 2016. Average apps, 5 minutes. Average games, 7 to 10. And then you start getting into different types of gamers, and they start labeling them as like hardcore, core, and again with the retention time. So you can actually do some nice kind of fuzzy math on, okay, so if somebody's playing your game for about 20 minutes a day, and really you're only gonna have 10% of users after 30 days, how much time are they actually gonna play? How much gameplay do you really need? When we look at Steam median gameplay times, I went to Steam Spy for this data. It was about 3 hours and 36 minutes. So you might actually get around the same time after the amount of days. And so it really does depend, you know, if you're doing the paid game, how long are you spending on reigns? How many minutes are you spending in Pokemon Go every day? Because of the session links, these are start to give you special considerations. Save points. If your save points are more than 7 minutes apart, people might not get to them. They might lose their progress. First-time user experience. If it's really long, shorten it up, chunk it out, start spreading it out. But it does mean that's a lot more engineering work. It takes a lot more design work. Going mobile to PC, if you have energy mechanics, that's really hard. People want to sit down and play a game for half an hour. They don't want to play for 7 minutes, hit a wall, close it out, go to something else. That's just not the way you play games on PC. All right, really quickly on UX UI. This is another one that just please come back to this later. The biggest thing remembering for PC to mobile is that we have hands. They're going to cover the screen. Pressing and hold, there's going to be some pop-ups. If they are underneath your hand, I can't read them. The account systems, if you have an account system on your game on Steam and you put it into a mobile game, I open it up and it immediately asks me for an account, I'm going to close it. You need to give people a guest option, incentivize them to sign up later. Other things, the localization is going to be different across these. Try not to put localization as defaulting to the place that the person is in, because then it's very confusing to try to use the menus. Same thing with Steam. There's a couple different ways to do it. Give people the option to change. I think other than that, one of the biggest complaints I see for mobile to PC ports is the big cartoony menus with the big cartoony hand that moves around the screen. Then it shows you like, all right, stop tutorial, now click here. And if you don't do that, you can't continue. It's a very mobile style of tutorial, and PC users really just want some freedom. They want to do the tutorial if possible or just skip it. I would honestly just let them skip it. They're a lot more forgiving on figuring things out. Controls. This one's just kind of just making sure you include them when you're doing mobile to PC. I think I have like 1 minute left. One, cool. Yeah, I got like 3 left. So just remembering, put them in. Nobody wants to play a game that, you know, if you have a keyboard, you can't use it when obviously there's like a move up, move left. If you're only using the mouse, it feels very limited. Same thing with camera controls, PC to mobile. Platform relationships, I mentioned all of this earlier. Embrace the platform you're on, show it off, show off your awards, put in the things that make that platform good. If you can put in iOS stickers, put them in. Make a new trailer, please. This is huge. Put a new trailer in. Like if it says now on iOS and Android at the end of a Steam trailer, it just looks bad. And then lastly, old games for new audiences. These are some of my favorites. Real Mist just came out on Android last month, and it came out in 1993. So this is a huge accomplishment. This one actually has really good controls. Try it out. Seventh Guest, a little less good controls, but it's nice to see it on there with some full motion video. And then, you know, kids games. That's an easy add for Humongous. They have their entire library on Steam now. They look great. Last thing, paid porting. I'm just going to kind of leave this one off, but be careful on the contracts for this, and you're going to worry about having to update later. So there is a bibliography at the end, so please download this. You can figure some more stuff out. But yeah, feel free. We have a booth over there. Come up and talk to me. Glad to help out. Thanks.
All right, so I guess the first question is like, how do we get the slides? Do we all email you? That was a load of information.
I know, there's a lot. I'm sorry. Yeah, the slides will be up on the Casual Connect site, and I will be uploading them to, I think, the Kong Dev blog, and I'll probably link them from my, my Twitter account listed there. You will be able to find them, I promise.
Cool. Well, I think with that, I mean, like, I'm still kind of going through everything you just said, so maybe I'll just download the slides and tweet you the questions later. Thank you so much. That was very informational.
Thank
Thanks.
you.